paid by the insurer. Through the application process on www.healthcare.gov, individuals can learn their personal costs for insurance and if they are eligible for tax credits. Credits will be available to those who don't have affordable insurance offered through employers, don't receive Medicare, and have a household income of between 100 to 400% of the federal poverty level. In 2013, those income levels range partially from $11,490 annually for a household of one to $94,200 for a household of four. The ACA was originally written to expand Medicaid to cover individuals making less than 100% of poverty, but the Supreme Court's ruling left the option to expand that coverage up to individual states. The Missouri legislature has thus far opted against expanding Medicaid, and no tax credits are available in the marketplace for individuals with an income below 100% poverty. Yeah. Here are the penalties. Those individuals below the poverty line would not be subjected to the federal requirement that all citizens have health insurance or pay a penalty. In 2014, the penalty for uninsured individuals is the larger amount of either 1% of your annual income or $95 for an individual and up to $285 for a family. Those fees will increase yearly. For example, in 2016, it will be 2.5% of annual income or $695 per person. The penalty is designed to prevent situations where uninsured individuals receive emergency care and then are unable to pay their bills, which contributes to higher medical costs for all. So why the resistance? This is designed to solve that problem. Let's hope it does. Well, individuals currently enrolled in Medicaid or Medicare, as well as supplemental insurance programs, will need to take no action regarding their plans. Those offerings will continue to be made outside of the marketplace. Now, as far as the cost of the plans, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has released basic cost tables that show generally what kinds of prices individuals will see in the marketplaces. For example, in Missouri, which lists 17 different qualified providers in the exchange, shows that after tax credits, a 27-year-old making $25,000 annually could pay $87 a month for the bronze plan, while a family of four with an income of $50,000, the cost would be $72 per month. However, information on deductibles and copays is not yet available. Ryan Barker, Vice President of Health Policy for the Missouri Foundation for Health, said costs not only vary from state to state depending on how many private insurance companies are participating, but where a person lives within a state. In Missouri, areas like Kansas City and St. Louis will see lower premiums due to increased competition, where other areas with fewer hospitals and specialists will see slightly higher rates. Rates can also fluctuate based on an individual's age, up to 3 times as much for older applicants, family size, and tobacco usage, 1.5 times the normal rate. Barker added that pre-existing conditions have no effect on rates, and that the marketplaces will ask no questions about medical history. This is a no-brainer. Why are you resisting this? Enrollment and help. Well, an open enrollment begins on Tuesday, and those purchasing insurance by December 15th will have coverage starting January 1st. Enrollment continues until March 31st, 2014, with a rolling schedule of coverage start dates. The Affordable Care Act does allow for applications during the year in cases of life-changing events such as marriage, divorce, job status change, or change in insurance offerings by an individual's employer. Current plan, a lot harder to get on to, isn't it? Barker said employers are required to provide employees with information about marketplaces opening prior to October 1st. However, a fine that had been in place for employers who did not release such information has been eliminated. Northeast Regional Medical Center will have local representatives certified to serve as counselors and respond to questions regarding enrollment. And if you'd like more information, it's available at this following address, okay? Give you time to get pencil and paper to write down this web address, or to get to your computer and to type in this web address in your address bar. Okay, now are you ready? Okay. It's www.covermissouri.org. covermissouri.org. And if you need more help, you can contact Northeast Regional Medical Center at 660-785-1021 or 660-785-1043. Again, those numbers are 660-785-1081 or 660-785-1043. And that's a look at the latest on the healthcare law there, what I have for you at the moment. Let's see here. I thought I had something else, but maybe I don't. Nope, that's not it. Bear with me for just a moment. My Nook reader seems to have a mind of its own at the moment. And let's see here. Now, while we're on the subject of the healthcare law and so forth, of course, now there's the possibility that the government's going to be shutting down late Monday night. And more than a third of federal workers will be told to stay home if the government does shut down, forcing the closure of many national parks from California to Maine, along with the Smithsonian Museums. Workers at the State Department's Bureau of Consular Affairs will be around to process visa and passport applications, complicated travel plans of hundreds of thousands of people. This is all because a bunch of Republicans and Democrats are unwilling to compromise. And yes, I blame the Democrats as much as the Republicans, if not more. And a lot of this goes back on the president's face, back on President Obama himself. And I admit that. It's one thing to stand your ground, but if you're not going to be flexible in working with the people, then you're going to make this shutdown inevitable. Now, I agree the Affordable Care Act must be implemented. It is the law of the land. And the Republicans are breaking the law by not enforcing the law, saying we don't have the funds for it. We sure had a hell of a lot of money to derail this thing. Got a lot of money there. So that's what we're facing. Well, these will be just some of the effects of a government shutdown that furloughs 800,000 of the nation's 2.1 million federal workers, and could hit as early as Tuesday if a bitterly divided Congress fails to approve a temporary spending bill to keep the government running. Our bills don't stop just because the government is shut down. Okay? Well, supervisors at government agencies began meetings yesterday to decide which employees would continue to report to work and which would be considered non-essential and told to stay home under contingency plans ordered by the Office of Management Budget. Details about shutdown plans for each agency were expected to be posted on the OMB and individual agency websites by this afternoon. Formal furlough notices would be sent out Tuesday, the beginning of the new fiscal year. Not all of the government would cease to operate. Services considered critical to national security, safety, and health would go on as usual, such as Border Patrol, law enforcement, and emergency and disaster assistance. Social Security and Medicare benefits would keep coming, for example, but there would likely be delays in processing new applications. Active duty military personnel are exempt from furloughs, as are employees of the U.S. Postal Service, which doesn't depend on annual appropriations from Congress. So we'll still get our mail on time. Union officials said preparations for a possible shutdown have created anxiety and uncertainty among federal workers and among those who have an expectation of government services. The last shutdown, which took place during the Clinton administration, lasted 3 weeks. I remember this, from December 16th, 1995 through January 6, 1996. So Merry Christmas indeed. At the Smithsonian, a majority of the 6,400 employees at 19 museums would be furloughed. Museum doors would remain closed as of 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, running vacation plans, no doubt for thousands of tourists expecting to see the National Air and Space Museum or view art at one of the museum's galleries. The National Park Service was expected to announce the specific impact of a shutdown late yesterday or early today. A contingency plan prepared 2 years ago, the last time a shutdown loomed, said all 401 of the country's national parks would close and cease activities except those for necessary to respond to emergencies. Federal courts plan to keep operations going for at least 10 business days in the event of a shutdown, roughly running through October 15th, using fees and other funds, but after that, only essential work would continue, and each court would determine what staff is needed, according to a September 24th memo from U.S. District Judge John Bates, Director of the Administrative Office of the United States Courts. Federal jury trials should continue as necessary, the memo said, and staff performing essential work in federal courts would report to work without getting paid. They would be paid when appropriations are restored. Making as a paycheck, but how long is that going to be? 2 days, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 years? We don't know. During the last shutdown in 95-96, 20 to 30,000 applications by foreigners for visas went unprocessed each day, while 200,000 U.S. applications for passports went unprocessed, according to a report by the Congressional Research Office. The report also described delays in the processing of firearm applications by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. The EPA would essentially be closed to most of its approximately 17,000 employees. That's roughly the population of Kirksville right there, except for those involved in shutting down systems tasked with emergency cleanups or doing legal work in ongoing federal cases. That's according to John O'Grady, president of the local union of EPA employees in Chicago. NASA is still working on shutdown plans, but the agency doesn't have a launch scheduled until November 6th. Nearly all but a few hundred of the space agency's 18,000 employees would be furloughed under a contingency plan outlined 2 years ago. In previous shutdown threats, the space agency considered essential the operations of the International Space Station, where astronauts and cosmonauts live, and planned to continue supporting the mission, even if the government had shuttered. Okay? So that's what we're faced with. Now, if you're a federal government employee and are facing the possibility of a shutdown, I imagine you want this thing to get resolved as fast as you can. But it seems that neither side is really willing to let go of their position to do what's in the best interest of the people. And I don't believe that derailing the Affordable Care Act is the answer. For one thing, it would hurt a lot more people in the long run. We've got the system, let's make it work. I've said that before, and I'm sure I'll say it again and again. Well, that's what's on my mind on this particular Friday morning. I'm going to take a quick break and step aside for a little bit, and then when we come back, I'll have things you need to know on this Friday, and the segment I called What's Trending. That's coming up in just a moment, so stick around, won't you? I'm trying to find some PSAs here to load, and when we get that taken care of, then we'll be on our way. So stick around, my friends. You're listening to First Cup, and I'm your host, Joe Haffner.
There needs to be a change.
In the way that you look at me. And the way we look at ourselves.
In the way we look at all transgender people.
The misunderstanding.
The cruelty.
The cruelty.
The violence.
The violence.
Needs to end.
Learn about who we are.
Learn about who you are.
And in the end, we may not look so different at all.
No, what'd she say?
She said whatever.
No, she says that all the time.
What's that?
Hello? I'm on the phone. Mom, I'm on the phone! Hello? I'm on the phone.
Who's this? It's me. I'm on the phone. Mom.
Oh, you're on the phone. All right. Sorry. Anyway.
Who are you talking to? Kelly?
Mom.
All right.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.